Hello, everyone. Welcome to this fortnight's. So welcome to today's Sandbox Sessions live stream.
We actually
This
managed
week
to
is-
get 2 in a month, so
I know,
that's
yeah, like it's an amazing month that you get to see us twice. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining us wherever you are from. And with me, as ever, is Peter Chisholm. Hey, Pete.
Hey, good to see you, Paul. My name is Peter Chittum, currently Director of Technical Content at Salesforce Bend, and happy to be here to have another amazing coding live stream.
When you said currently, I thought you were going to say currently sat at home.
Oh, well,
you
that
just
too.
you paused quite a bit there, like you were
Yeah.
deep thinking about currently what your state of mind and life was like.
Yeah, just a little blip on the recording media in my brain is all. So that's this happens sometimes. Actually,
Yeah, welcome.
pretty excited.
sorry,
I've been actually writing some code that hasn't been part of this live stream recently, so that's been fun.
Look at you. I mean,
Yeah.
is that why? Is that why I saw Salesforce slow down the other day? Were you the reason behind the giant? I'm joking.
Well, the stuff I've been doing, I've been testing high volumes of platform events because of this new parallel subscription feature to see just how much faster I could get 50,000 records stored using parallel subscriptions versus a single subscriber. And it's pretty impressive, actually. So yeah. So I was actually like chucking tons of records and then deleting them and then redoing that and deleting them. So maybe that one little Sandbox pod I was on for my Scratch org might have been a little bit, have some indigestion, but I'm sure it wasn't a big deal.
Sure, it's fine. Sure, it was fine. Yes, I love doing things like that where you're like messing around with large volumes of data and seeing if so Peter and I actually were together this week in person. Like,
that's right.
physically.
We actually saw each other in person.
In real life, IRL, as they say. And like one of the things Peter was telling me about this platform events thing he was working on, and I was saying that one of the best demos I've ever delivered was just an eventing system on Heroku integrated with Salesforce, but it was allowing people to send lots and lots of events through them getting handled by different workers, and as you scaled the workers up, and we had a button that would kill the workers off on Heroku, and just like we basically had a button that was crash, and what I did was on that crash I just threw an error that killed the dyno, and I had to restart it and reboot it.
That's super cool.
It was the most fun I've had ever. Like it was the least interactive, exciting demo ever because it was literally a screen where it just showed like number of events being processed by different workers. But like as someone was sat there, like me and the client were just sat there for about 20 minutes, we're like, can we turn it up to like 500? Yeah, turn up to 1,000 per second. Like,
that's cool. Yeah.
Yes,
it's funny the way that you talk about that. It takes me back to when I kind of had this period where I was doing some dabbling in Elixir, which is this alternate language on top of Erlang, and on top of I think it's called the OTP runtime is what Erlang runs on. So Erlang is one language and it compiles to an intermediate language. And yeah, anyway, so I was working with this Elixir stuff and learning about the whole architecture of OTP and how it runs so much of telephony, and it's like super, super fault tolerant, and it's designed so like if something just like stops in the middle of like processing, it's just designed to like pick it up and run again. It's a super resiliently architected platform, and I grew a lot of admiration for it, although I never really used it much beyond just like dabbling with it for a couple of years.
No, I might have to have a look into playing that. I've still got one of the things I'd like to do is you ever seen the 7 Languages in 7 Weeks books?
I've heard of those. Yeah, I've never really looked closely at them. So,
well, maybe
I want to say
that
Anoop told me about doing it once. Maybe.
Yeah, there's a few people. I know James Simone has done them, and a few others.
Okay.
Like there's them, and there's the databases. So maybe that's something for some kind of broader streams. One day is like 7 weeks we do, or 7 streams, do 7 little languages. What we've learned from it.
That'd be kind of interesting. Yeah.
So yes, welcome everyone to the stream. Thank you for those joining us wherever you are. Drop us a little note in the chat to say hi. Let us know where you're coming from and where you're watching from. So we mentioned that Peter and I were together IRL this week, and aside from having a very nice lunch, which was some good shawarma from a stand that was near the Salesforce Ben offices, we were doing some recording, weren't we?
We did actually. So we had Paul down to the Salesforce Ben studio, and the plan was to do a 3-series episode on integration. Sorry, 3-part series on integration.
Three series. Wow, I've been signed up already. It's
which went really well. Do you want to talk about kind of the high level of each of those episodes?
Yeah. So this was after Ben McCarthy, the Salesforce Ben, as you have to refer to him as.
Eponymous Ben.
Yeah. Because for some, if you don't know, there is actually a guy called Ben behind Salesforce Ben. It's not an acronym. What could the acronym be that Ben is? Anyway,
I have to think about that.
Yeah, answers on a postcard. What does Ben stand for as an acronym in Salesforce Ben? But Ben and I were catching up a while ago, and we were just saying about some interesting stuff that we were both working on, and whether we could collaborate on things. And one of the things that we were both saying that some stuff that people could do more on is integration, but kind of understanding integration from an architectural perspective if you're not an architect. And I think that one of the difficulties with integrations is it is number one, it's an area, and I'm going to do that because it will do the thumbs up in a second. Number one, it's an area that gives you a lot of acronyms. There's REST, there's SOAP, there's pub sub, gRPC, API, JSON, XML, JOT, JWT, all sorts of things in there. OAuth, all of these things, which if you're not a technical person and you haven't played with these things, are all just a bit mad. And let's be clear, no one likes working with certificates. They're always a pain to deal with.
Honestly, anything where I have to just even like generating a JOT, for example, there's so many steps that you have to. It's like a Russian doll experience almost.
Well,
yeah,
there's a really good Lightning Web Component out there now.
I've heard.
Yeah, that was a non-planned segue. Thank you for that one. So so number one was that part. Number two is that it's not something you get to play with a lot. It's not an area you get to, like, who here has a spare server that they're going to spin up with an app on it? You know what I mean? Like, it's not
right.
It's not something you get to do often. And number three is that it's a really easy way of blowing your leg off. It's if you must have heard that phrase between C and C++, the difference.
No, I've not. No.
Oh, well, let me Google that in the background. C versus C++.
It kind of rings a bell, but I can't think what it is.
The phrase is C makes it easy to shoot yourself in the foot. C++ makes it harder, but when you do, it blows your entire leg off. And that's kind of what integrations are like that. Like when you start doing an integration, even one of the stories I tell in the series is about a telephony integration that I was helping someone on, where they were an external system makes a API request into Salesforce to get the contact given a specific phone number. Often in telephony systems, you have to have phone numbers in a specific format. And so it's not uncommon for you to have a custom field with the phone number in that format, right? So it could be no space, because Salesforce phone formats aren't necessarily always the internationalized version they want to be. Worked really well in a sandbox, when you've got 30 records in there. Didn't work really well in UAT when you've got 1 million or 2 million or 3 million contacts in there. And, that's a read operation where it goes wrong. But if you imagine that I've had, I once worked on one with I talk a lot about e-commerce integrations because they're a big area. But if you have 20,000 sales a day, which can happen for some e-commerce stores very easily, 20,000 e-commerce sales.
Oh yeah, that's like a decent sized e-commerce site. That's like a drop in the bucket, even.
Exactly. Yeah. You make an error on one of those on every single one of those records. 20,000 records you're going to clean up and go back through. That's a lot of data that's wrong. You start
Yeah.
duplicating data, creating duplicate records, like you got a nightmare. So yeah, it's the series really is going through in those 3 episodes and talk about number one. Okay, let's get the basics down. Let's understand what all of the different protocols, tools, acronyms, and everything mean. Number 2 is talk about how we architect an integration, kind of the decisions you need to make. And, it's trying to give you practical advice rather than just like, oh, well, you draw this here and draw this here, and there's an arrow going between. It's more like, well, what considerations you have around data volumes and mastery and data models and security. And then the 3rd episode is really about those best practices on performance and stuff like that. So yeah, it was fun to write, and hopefully not too. I know you had to sit and listen to me for at least a couple of hours as I stumble over my words again and again. But hopefully it'll be fun for people to watch and enjoy.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be good. Okay, I'll be totally honest. I was reviewing articles while you were doing it. I was keeping an ear out, but like once because we started and there was a little bit of tweaking and adjusting to get things right. And then once I felt like Paul was in the flow, I did just sort of like let you go run with it. But
are you saying that what we could do is do a little separate sideline where I read out Salesforce content to help people fall asleep? It's like just white noise.
I was definitely.
No, I'm not saying you were falling asleep. I just mean like it's that what you like a sort of ASMR background focus music.
It could work. You never know. I mean, there is a podcast that I've listened to before called the Send Me to Sleep podcast. So maybe we could send him the architecture stuff and like see how it does. So
yeah, it's but so that was good. And then we actually flew through it much quicker than we expected, didn't we? So we had some spare time for something else.
And so like we've been building this this series that we're calling the deep dive series, I think. All of a sudden I'm spacing. I'm like, what was our branding for that? I think it's deep dives.
It is deep dive.
I'll look it up just to be sure while I'm talking. So I had been thinking, I had this in the back of my mind that if we had the time, I could maybe use a bit more of Paul and do a deep dive interview. So the deep dive, we did one so far, which was, sorry, I'm having trouble typing and.
It's www.salesforceben.com.
So SF Ben Deep Dives is the name of the actual series, and I don't think I can post a link, but if you don't mind, I'll pop it to you, Paul.
Post it in the private chat.
And you can. So there's the share link that I will give to Paul. So we've done one of these on deploying Data Cloud, which is challenging. It's different. It doesn't sit on the core Salesforce stack. It sits kind of adjacent to it. And so they've created this separate architecture, which had been there was an existing name for it when they launched, which mostly meant for ISVs. What's the name of that? It's called a Data Cloud. I can't think of the name of it. What is it?
Data Kit, Data Pipeline.
Yeah, the Data Kit. Thank you. Yeah. And so the Data Kit was meant to be, you deploy using standard Salesforce metadata API, and that would deploy a Data Kit to your org, but you had to get the Data Kit from your org to the actual Data Cloud environment. And so that's like a separate step. And so because of that, the way that they've implemented it, let's just say, is a bit counterintuitive to what most Salesforce developers are going to be used to. And so we spend a good time, myself and Steve Simpson, talking through some of the things that he's discovered about this. So we started with this one. Reaction's been really good. We got, pretty much like, toward the top end of our typical performance over the first week on that video. So right away, we were just like, yeah, let's do another one. And since Paul was already there in the studio, he and I sat down literally with no idea and said, okay, what could we talk about? And lo and behold, because we've been faffing about with TypeScript for like 2 months, that turned out to be a really great topic. So yeah, I'm really excited about, first of all, the series. It's going to be great. It's going to be a huge addition to Salesforce Ben's videos. And then getting to switch gears and talk about TypeScript, in conversation, I think that'll also be super valuable. So, and that one is more of an overview, just like what is TypeScript? Why are we using it? Like, why do we care? Um, as well as a little bit of demo, and also talking about career-wise, as a developer, does it make sense to learn TypeScript today? So hopefully people will check that video out. That one should be out next week. So somewhere around the 7th of August is kind of what we're shooting for, if we can get it all produced quickly enough.
So yeah, it was a very fun and productive day, and as ever, good to kind of be face to face rather than as good as this always is. Yeah, always nice to
always. I've just come so much to value, like actually talking to people in person, for obvious reasons in recent history. Like it's just become something that I never pass up an opportunity for anyway. So
I was as a random COVID related story. I was in the solicitors this morning signing a will.
oh, okay.
My own will,
For yourself. Okay, yeah.
yeah,
right.
nothing. just doing some due diligence and being prepared.
That's good. Everybody, honestly, like, public service announcement: write a will for yourself. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
And for someone like me who irritates my wife a lot, I just need to be careful. No, I'm joking. But so we were talking to them, and it was one of those things you have to go in the UK. You have to go in and physically sign it. Okay, it has to be an ink signature. Because I just asked, like, I signed your contract via DocuSign. Could I not sign the will via DocuSign? And they were like, nope. Legally, it has to. Well, because they're trying to avoid coercion and things like that. So
right.
If you're an elderly person who's not fully aware, or someone who's controlling you or whatever, which makes sense. So I just asked. So I just said, off topic. Then how did you do it during COVID? And they were saying that they're right next to a supermarket car park, and so they used to meet people as they were going to do their shopping, and just say to them, right, look, come in, park up, and someone would walk over to the car, put the will on the bonnet, then walk away, because obviously you had to stay 6 feet, and then let you sign.
Right.
They said we were using rubber gloves to go and pass paperwork onto cars for people to sign.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, there's so many stories like that. Anyway, thank goodness for being able to see people in person, despite some of those being super spreader events. Wasn't one of the recent London events, like, a lot of people walked away with COVID?
Oh, you mean like the world tour or something like that?
Yeah, I want to say there was
Possibly.
something like that happened.
Yeah,
Maybe that was
funny
TDX back in March. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny how now, there's just a lot less. I mean, obviously it's because it's on its 19th cycle, but nowadays, I've got COVID. Oh well, are you going to change much? No, I should stay home, but that'll be about it.
Yeah,
exactly.
like
you've got a cold.
But that was that was always what we knew would happen. It was just like, how would we get there when it first started? Like, nobody knew, and it was like that. It's like, we didn't know how it was being spread. Like, were masks good? Were they not good? Like, would it go through the air? Was it by touch? I mean, like, we just had no information. So yeah, it's like, you just okay, let's have big air bubbles around each other and stay as far away from each other as possible. It's the best we could do.
The same solicitor was saying that in their office they had a room that any post related to wills and probate that came in, because obviously they get letters in where there'd been a death or something like that, all of them had to be left in a room for a week, and they had a UV light they would shine on them. Which I was and they were just like, so they said one person had to go in every day, just turn the UV light on, leave it for half, because they couldn't leave it on for too long because it'd fade the ink and things. So leave it on for 20 minutes, half an hour, because they were just some of it was paperwork that needed to be read though, before people could get buried and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, it was we were totally blind. So so there you go. Modern days, we're now, COVID's just another virus.
And I can go back to licking lampposts, getting. That's just going to get snipped right there.
There we go. Yeah, that deserves its own meme, I think, Paul. So yeah.
So Paul likes to lick lampposts. It's funny, when I was in. I still have this thing when I'm in London now, though, because of having gone through COVID and everything like that. I always take like loads. I'm all further sanitizing my hands like after I've been on the tube and things like that, just because of just not knowing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we
Shall
should
we?
probably talk about some Salesforce stuff.
Yeah. Before we do, I just a slight aside because I noticed that this shirt is
Is this your Trump t-shirt?
so this it's not quite visible where I'm sitting, and I really put off some people at TDX thinking I was walking around wearing a Trump shirt. So, this is not a political podcast, but so I'm not going to say one way or the other, but it isn't a Trump shirt. It's a Triumph shirt. Triumphs are motorbikes. I used to ride a Triumph. That's all it is. So
Instead, now we're going to turn this into a motorbike show where we talk about how Triumphs were terrible. And no, I'm joking.
So no. The modern Triumphs are amazing bikes, but that's another story. Yeah, that could be another podcast. Yeah, so so if you're a huge Trump fan, like, don't get any ideas. If you hate Trump, also don't get any ideas. Like, this has nothing to do with Trump. It's about motorbikes. So, end of story.
Thank you. Cool. Well, it's fine. I did notice that was that T-shirt when you came on at the start, and I was going to make a joke and thought, "No, I'll just leave it."
Well,
We were just chilling out beforehand.
But then I noticed that, like, it's just enough that, like, it could make a person think, and it's like, let's just put that one to bed before before it just becomes anything. So
yeah, before we get a lot of comments on it, this, as Peter says, is non-political.
Yeah,
this is just about how wonderful and terrible Salesforce is in equal measure.
That's right. You can be just as rubbish at Apex as us, no matter who you support politically.
Yes. just as terrible as we are across the political divide.
That's right.
So yeah, another just to say again, hello to everyone watching. I can see more people trickling onto the stream, so just hello, thanks for joining us, and just drop us a comment, let us know where you're watching from, and yeah, just say hi. So last few months we've been building out CLI, and we have hit a roadblock.
Yeah, can we say eking out the command line? We got a couple of extensions working really well, right? So
yeah, and I'm going to say this very quietly. I've not given up on the idea of it yet.
Fair enough.
I'm still 50-50 about like seeing if we build an S object wrapper and go down that route for our base, because of what our basic requirement is. Just simply. Anyway,
yeah,
we've decided we've hit a roadblock where we were trying to get to build an S object and create an S object using the command line. We weren't able to do that. I think there are some ways we might be able to get around it, but we've hit our head against it too much. And truth be told, like, having more than two streams of us just be really stuck and look stupid is not going to help. Like, the last episode was fun, but it was 2 hours of us going, huh?
Yeah, why did it do that?
Yeah, why is that not working?
Yeah.
I'm sure that Stack Overflow said this should work. So what we're going to do is, and one of the things that we've had on the list of things to cover is some
vibe coding. Are we going to do vibe coding, Paul?
We're not going to do vibe coding. Although there was did you see there was an article I've got on my list of things to read from Jeff Douglas on vibe coding in Salesforce?
Oh, I think I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got that on my save list. So
yeah. And I didn't get a chance to read it. I skimmed the beginning, so it looks interesting though.
Yeah, I've been doing some stuff with Claude Code in Salesforce recently for some product stuff and just trying it out to see how it is. Short answer: brilliant and terrible in equal measure is how I'm finding it. Might be my command prompts, might be the specifics. There's a few things, but I think we should do in the future perhaps an episode on like some MCP server pieces and doing a bit of seeing if we could vibe code something. But that's not what we're going to be doing now.
Yeah, and I do want to say, so just before we totally close the book on that, like there was a study done. It was a very small study, and they're very clear to not want to overblow their results, but they took a bunch of developers, well, it's not a bunch, but a small number of developers who are very experienced with their own open source projects, and gave them tasks to do based on the work that was coming in through their issues queues. And they have them do like tasks either um, with AI assistants, with AI agent assistants, and without. And actually, all of them were slower with the AI agent assistant. So,
So as a like I can just to give you a small amount of context as a side story on this, I was extending my existing app the other day. Really small requirement. One of the messages, so Viber messages, a type of message you can send, now support video. I was just adding that in. It was I've got some inherited classes. I've got some child classes. The child class needed updated. It was a simple like would have taken me an hour and a half or so to do. By the time I'd gone through with Claude and it had gone through and thought about it and made changes and things like that, it then produced a completely wrong output. Like, and it was close. Don't get me wrong, but I then still had to tweak it. And there was a part of me at the end that was like, right, I've pretty much used up my credits on my pro plan for today. Like, what? So and I'm not against using it and not against trying it again. And I do think it, but there was definitely a thing at the end of it. I was like, I'm not sure how much of this you've truly understood versus what I could understand.
Yeah, my experience with Salesforce is not great. And honestly,
No.
I have turned off the automatic, like as you're typing, because I just find I find it too distracting. There are times where I think it would have been really useful. Like this morning, I was doing some bits that they were very repetitive. And so like the pattern, I think it would have picked up on that really well and probably successfully given me a result that would have been helpful. But I already had turned it off. And there wasn't really an easy way for me to just like, okay, now do this bit. And maybe there is, and maybe I just haven't used it yet. Where I've been really successful with is using AI assistants to generate Python code for data manipulation and analysis. It kicks ass at that. I mean, I'm having some really great fun with what you can do with Python, but I think there isn't this thing called an org and metadata that like it has to somehow
Oh yeah, it's so
comprehend as
separate.
context, right? It's just a code project. And B, it's Python. Like it's some of the most prolific code out on the internet, and every data scientist already uses Python. So it's probably like the best training set of data that that all of these language models have as far as code generation. So Python, huge thumbs up. Salesforce development, I'm not having a great time with it, honestly.
Python. I've not done Python, but I've done it with JavaScript and some TypeScript stuff, and it's brilliant. It saves me hours doing it with LWC. It's not too bad with.
I can see that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's following the web component standard, so I would think.
Yeah. Some Salesforce stuff it's okay on. Some it's a bit rough. Anyway.
Anyway, enough said.
So what we're going to do is one of the things we have looked at, as I was going to say, is open source libraries. So one of the things that Salesforce, there is a lot of in the Salesforce space, is some really good open source libraries and tools and frameworks and just stuff out there. And
actually, I'm going to just invite folks that are listening. Like, if you have an open source library you love, why don't you post it in the comments? We'd like to see what you're using, actually.
Definitely would love to. And I mean, one of the places that this has come from for me as well, very kind of selfishly, is I put out a newsletter every week on LinkedIn, Salesforce Cloud Bytes, which is just kind of like things I've uncovered and discovered primarily through LinkedIn. I've just put a link to it there in the show notes. Like uncovered in the comments through the week, which is like tools and tips and cool stuff people are building. And so part of the reason I built that Jot component, Jot token generated of the week, was to kind of do what I was praising others for doing and actually build something and share it with the community. But I was thinking, well, there's all these libraries and tools out there. I don't get to use half of them that I share. Like 80% of the ones I share, I have a look at the screenshots, I have a look at the README, I dig through it, I spend about 20 minutes, half hour, but I don't get to use them in real projects or in anger because, if you like, so today we're going to look at one of the projects, we're going to look at RFLib, which is Reliability Force, is what RF stands for.
Is that what it stands for?
Yes, it's Reliability Force.
I like that.
Like it has a logging framework, but there's that, there's Nebula Logger, and there's 2 or 3 others out there. Which, if you were to try and do that in a real project every week as a real developer, then you'd basically be better off starting to learn JavaScript and switching between Vue and Angular and React and Svelte and insert sexy new framework that I don't know about here yet. But like, that's it. Like, it's not possible for you to do all these things. And so what Peter and I thought we would do is go through, and in some of these sessions, we're going to grab a library. Today, as I say, it's going to be RFLib, and we're going to take some code either that we've got or a use case that we've constructed, and we're going to go away and just look at how we could get it installed, how we could get some of the basics set up, how we could work with it, so that you can see it. And at the end of this, I might take it and do another episode, do another video, which is just short and distilled video on how to set it up and use it. But this is really kind of the deeper dive of how we get it set up and how it works through.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I think, there've been kind of fits and starts of trying to build open source communities in the Salesforce ecosystem. They've kind of like, there was Open Force for a while, and I think somebody is still actually maintaining that repo, but a lot of the things out there are, a bit old, like they haven't been maintained necessarily. Shane had his sort of catalog of Salesforce CLI plugins, but I was looking at that the other week, and I noticed that quite a few of those plugins haven't been kept up and brought up to date with the SF syntax. So it's like there was kind of this momentum at one point, and then it kind of tailed off, and I think it's really hard. I've always found enterprise software has lagged a bit when it comes to open source ecosystems, especially, where it's enterprise software that's powered by a very sort of strong proprietary central force like Salesforce. It can be very difficult because there'll be maybe some system integrators that have very much like an open source ethos, and then they'll open source their stuff, but then there'll be others that are like, no, this needs to be our IP so that we can sell it, and they want to monetize it, understandably, so it's really interesting, like the sort of interplay of what I'm going to say is kind of old guard enterprise software mentality, sort of pre the open source explosion, to kind of newer guard, sort of modern, web and project, that ethos that came about after the whole, what do we call that? I guess, the open source explosion kind of in the 2010s, 2010s. That was really, it's not like open source was new then, but that I would say is where, when GitHub launched, you also had Agile come about in the Agile Manifesto, and you had all of these JavaScript frameworks. It was kind of this confluence of forces that created this huge explosion of open source at that time. And I think, some people some people kind of still subscribe to the enterprise software mentality before that time, and others, they like, no, we want to be more open. So I think that interplay comes in, and you see it, and that's fine. Like, if your thing is monetize everything, I can't begrudge anybody that. If your thing is, I want to share and, build stronger developer communities, that's of course like my preference, right? Neither is wrong. They just have different outcomes and different priorities, right? So,
Joe, I think part of the big problem is around it for Salesforce is kind of building on what you were saying there about like there being a centralized enterprise kind of center of gravity. If you look at all of the other big open source kind of communities, so all of the NPM repositories, right? So NPM, Node Package Manager. That came about because there was a big framework in Node that was open source, that was out there for people to build upon, that was opinionated and does things in a certain way. And you can talk about how opinionated Node is or not, but it's way more opinionated than anything we had before for the JavaScript ecosystem on it. Rails, like Ruby has a huge community built around plugins for Rails, as well as other gems that help you do stuff with Ruby. Rails is a very opinionated framework for how you build Ruby apps. Yep. One of the things I think really is missing in the Salesforce space is a well-adopted framework for how you build applications. It kind of takes away a lot of the plumbing and things for you, that makes a lot of that work simpler. And I think that's really where that kind of where a lot of that missing is, because we've got, one of the things we'll probably do is like some of the different trigger frameworks, because Mitch Spano has one out there. Mitch has one out there.
I've always said Spano, but to be honest, I don't think I've ever met Mitch in person, and I've never asked him. So,
Mitch,
sorry, Mitch.
Mitch, if you listen to this, and we've said, I mean, A, we'd love to have you on here now, but B, let us know if we butchered your surname. But I always use Kevin O'Hara's one, which is one of the oldest ones out there, but like is a good one. And there's 5 or 6 other frameworks out there that do the same thing. But there's no one framework that everyone uses. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's another aspect of the ecosystem of open source that's fundamentally missing, and it's a hard sort of frontier to cross, which is in open source communities, there are foundations that serve as the sort of organizers for those movements. So Python has Python Foundation, there's the Linux Foundation, there's Cloud Native Computing Foundation, which was sort of fostered into existence by the Linux Foundation. There's the Apache Foundation, so like all of these have a nonprofit organization that gets together, meets regularly, has rules, and kind of it creates a groundswell and a community effect around it that helps foster this into existence. We have Salesforce, and and I don't want to say this to be overly critical of Salesforce, but Salesforce is not a not-for-profit foundation. No. And the part of Salesforce that was completely absorbed into the for-profit organization a few years ago. And so what happens is you have something like Salesforce that does something that is very community-oriented and very grassroots-oriented, and is really actively building that in something like well-architected. And then at some point in time, there is a decision that's made, based on some business priority, and that thing goes away, and all of a sudden all of that good work just sort of like, it's not like it disappears. They haven't like taken down the website or anything, but it's not being refreshed and it's not being maintained, and so you don't have that independent body that helps maintain that. And so I think I actually had this conversation. I was at the Red Monk Monkey Graw conference in London here a few months ago, and I was talking to some people who are very active in Cloud Native Computing Foundation. And, because I was sort of pondering, like, is the way forward for well-architected and a non-for-profit foundation that maybe is sponsored by some folks in the ecosystem and Salesforce, and what this person told me is that, well, a lot of the smaller foundations are brought into existence by the Linux Foundation, or like by the bigger ones. And the problem is that those open source foundations sometimes have a difficult time working with proprietary software. So I think there's some other dynamics at play that create a challenging environment to building a really big, vibrant open source ecosystem. But you have like really strong advocates that are still out there. Obviously, I forget the name of the fellow who built RFLib. You just posted his name on the.
No, Johannes Fischer.
Yeah, so Johannes, you have Nicolas Viamy from France, who is famous for doing SFDX Hardest. You have Alec. No, actually, Alex isn't open source. That one is closed source. But you do have Ruben, who built the flow monitoring framework. I can't
Oh yeah,
remember
and
his name.
there's
Yeah.
Thomas Prevost on Inspector Reloaded.
Yeah. So
Free
like,
and
so
open
you
source.
do have those people, but
Yeah.
what you don't have is that, that that nonprofit organization that can pull them all together and build a network effect. Like that's, I think, the thing that's missing. We rely on Salesforce, but Salesforce isn't always the best partner for an open source ecosystem.
I was about to say what about the Salesforce.org open source commons, because they still have a lot of projects under their
Yeah.
command. So
Yeah.
they've got DLRS is now under their command, as an example, and there's a few others in there. So I don't disagree with anything you've said there, because I
Yeah.
do think one of the difficulties is kind of, and I think a lot of the stuff that other than DLRS or Snowfakery, I'm just looking through the list now. Cumulus CI, again, I
Yep.
don't know anyone that really uses Cumulus anymore compared to many of the other
So
frameworks around
Jason
it.
Lance was building a project that he forked from Cumulus.
Yeah,
I don't know. I haven't seen much about it recently.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a few tools out there, but there's just not a lot of stuff, is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, there's
It's amazing that the open source commons organization inside of Salesforce, it's great that they're still active. They regularly set up meetups. But again, just like well architected, um, anytime Salesforce could make a business decision to just close shop and it would go away. Like there's nothing guaranteeing that that goes forward. If Salesforce just decides to turn off the taps and not fund it, or reallocate those those people to other parts of the organization or whatever. So
I mean, a lot of the stuff that's in the open source commons as well is very focused on the non-profit space,
mhm, yeah.
which is great. Don't get me wrong, but
Well,
going back to the point,
that's their remit, right? That's the whole focus is around the nonprofit.
yeah. But I suppose that's what I'm saying is that's the only group we have at the moment, which is an official Salesforce, because DLRS is very more widely used than just in.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mhm.
that being the focus of it just being for the non-profit space means I think you kind of limit yourself as to who's going to be involved and what you're going to get. Anyway, let's
All right.
let's
Enough of
dive on
that,
in to
huh?
look at, yeah, sorry, we're 42 minutes in. Let's dive on in and let's have a look at RFLib. So what we're going to do today in the rest of this session is look at what RFLib is, talk a little bit about it, get it installed into a new Scratch org that I've got set up.
Sweet.
I've also, in this Scratch org, gone away and should have been able to deploy our stuff from before where we were working
Oh,
on building
I
out.
see you've already created the Scratch org, and
Yes,
is that the
RFLib demo.
package to install RFlib already on there?
I've got the in the command line. It is at the moment. So
Okay.
I'm just going to open up the org a second and just show people what we had from before, if we even have it still. I bet you I've deleted the tab, haven't I? Because I am a fool. I am a fool. So what we're going to do quickly is just let me share my screen and just get this working. And we can have the entirety of screen one. So I deployed everything in here so you can see what the Apex callout and the Pexels API stuff that everyone hopefully remembers.
Ooh, you even have local dev enabled. I'm excited.
Yeah, that is auto enabled in this Scratch.
Is it?
I think I have it in the project settings from when we tried doing that a while ago.
Okay, that's
So
cool.
let me just make sure that we've got the permission set assigned here. This I really hate, by the way. Anyone from Salesforce watching, in a Scratch org, there's no. So you have to go to the users list and do it.
I have noticed that as well and been very annoyed by that. Yeah.
Just not good. Anyway, so Pexels API, bingo, bango, bongo. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new app. So let me do a page first of all, which is app builder. Oh, is image home? Image home, I think, is the one I'm looking for. Ah, that's only got the apex. All right, let me add this. How do I change the layout of it? That's it. Change. I want 3 regions. Header and 3 regions. That's fine. So cool. Great. So that's the apex one, and then down here we should have. That's that one already. We have fetch. Fail to fetch. Wonderful. And we should have library. Fail to fetch. Great.
That's actually pretty cool that when you change the layout, it sort of allows you to pick like whatever you have on there already, where do you want to put it? That's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, it's not terrible. There are some good things.
I mean, it wouldn't be the finishing touch, would it? But at least it would make some of the faff a bit better.
That's not the image thing I'm looking for. Right. Do you know what? I'm not even sure we need this for now, but I can be messing around with this in the background. So what we've got set up anyway is it's probably remote site settings I haven't got sorted. Yeah. And let's just go back in. So what we've got is our previous app anyway, right? We have one here where we're using the name credential, which I don't think I've got the name credential down here. Oh, yes, I do. But I'll need to insert the key in. We've got one where we're just calling, so that's one that's calling that. We've got a fetch one where we have it fetching. And so it's called api.pexels.com. Let me just add in that. Oops. And that should all be good. And then if I just go and app manager, if I go into the sales app, actually I'll just create a new app quickly. Great and great. I called it image home, I think. It's not images there. Okay, it's not in there. Let's just save it anyway. We'll just add it in separately. Sorry, I messed around with some of this because as I was doing this, we had some legacy junk in there from when we were messing around previously.
Yeah, no worries.
So, great. Let's look at our activation. It's the org default. Oh, cool. That should just set it as the home, the org. I'm just going to assign it to the images app as well. Grand, right. Please go away and don't show that again. Interesting, that should definitely be in there. So, tell you what, Pete, I'm going to swap screens. I'm going to let you talk through a little bit about what RFLib is so that people don't have to watch me do this. I will send you, have you got RFLib open?
Yeah, let me do that quickly.
Sorry, when I went into this earlier, I thought it was more set up.
Okay, if I can type correctly, I'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to put that one over there. All right.
There, you're on the stage.
All right, there we go. So now, I mean, I have a kind of rudimentary understanding of RFLib. It wasn't a package that I've used before, but kind of based on my conversation with Paul, we talked through this a little bit. You know, the explanation here from Johannes kind of gives the background for where this came from. And essentially, it was to sort of follow through and have a library that could, you know, could produce better information about what was going on and to kind of follow the best practices that he had read in Dan Appleman's Advanced Apex Programming book. So a couple of features here that you can see is, first of all, a logger. There we go. You can see that there. Now, it says it's publishing logs the same way as Apex. So I'm really curious to take a look at that. That is actually the bit that Paul and I have decided that we're going to go ahead and implement in this project. I'm kind of new to using external loggers myself. In my time working at Salesforce, you know, we kind of made do with a debug log. So I'm pretty excited about giving this a try and seeing what features that it has. It also has several other aspects to it. So one thing it has is feature switches. Or feature flags. You know, that's a pretty well-established design pattern in building complex software projects. The idea there is you can go ahead and build a feature, have it be in production, and then you can enable it for one user or a small number of users and have it tested out. And if it doesn't work, you can turn it right back off again. And it doesn't require you to do a deployment necessarily. So it allows you to kind of quickly get something into production, have some light testing of it, you know, with a very small dedicated set of users, and then add more and more users over time using the feature flag. There's also a trigger framework. Trigger frameworks are something that Paul and I started this series with. We worked together to actually build a lightweight trigger framework. So that's something that could be interesting to go back and look at in the projects on the Cloud Bytes GitHub repo to go and check that out. And this is interesting. I'm not, so I hadn't heard about this. So Pharos AI integration, seamless integration with Pharos AI. I am not familiar with what Pharos AI is. So that is actually really interesting to me. And I'm going to dig into that a little bit. All right. So I do tend to use Perplexity as my search engine on this particular browser. Major UK-based initiative transforming. Okay, that doesn't look like the right thing. Let's see if it came up with what the sources were it came up with. Pharos AI. Let's see. Pharos RFLib Pharos. All right, I'm going to try a different search. Perplexity, I find, is...
We have a working demo again.
Oh, that's great. This just doesn't seem like it's what he would have integrated.
No.
So what other options are there on this search result? Pharos AI.
It's pharos.ai.
Did he put a link on there that I missed?
Yeah. It's on the, I'm looking at the changelog though, so you might not have seen it.
Okay. All right. Oh, native observability for Salesforce. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I've not
Okay.
really looked at that before. I saw it when one of the announcements of the recent versions came out. I shared it on the newsletter, and I saw that, but again, didn't dive into it. So yeah, the logging's what we're going to focus on today, and we have now got a demo org we can connect it to.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'll let you take over then, and we can take a look at what we have and talk about what we're going to do.
Sure, super, thank you. What we have is this. So we have our demo images. You will remember we have one which is Apex, where we're making a call out using a named credential, or an external credential as it now is. We have one where we're just using the fetch API straight away, and one where we're using the library from Pexels themselves. Okay. Now, one of the things I was reading about in here, so let's probably put a little bit of a link to RFLib. That'll be a handy thing to start with doing. One of the things I was reading about is how RFLib. Sorry, just do that. So RFLib follows the Advanced Apex Programming book and how it's logging in there. I have got a copy I should wave around for you in a minute so you can see, but Advanced Apex Programming is one book that everyone should read on Apex if you're a Apex developer. It hasn't been updated in a few years now. I think it's on the 5th or the 6th edition, but it's still a very, very worthwhile book to read. It's really interesting seeing after Peter and I were talking about it the other day when we were together. And after that, I sort of flicked through. That's how I knew I had a second edition the other day, Pete. Is I started flicking through, and some of the things that are in there. So I remember when I first read Advanced Apex, there's a bunch of stuff I not fully agree with in there. Or I agree with the principle, I don't agree with the practice. Same with FFlib and other things. You don't. And I would say this to anyone who reads any of my books: you don't have to agree with what's in them. It's an opinion from someone with a mouth and a keyboard. But
you use your mouth on the keyboard?
I do. That's why it takes me so long. I said a mouse and a keyboard. But you don't have to agree with all these things. But you have to. But I think it's important that you read them, understand the principles behind them. With all of these things, I agree a lot of the principles. I don't necessarily agree with the practice. But I think Dan's book is really good. It's just getting you to think. I would recommend people read. I obviously recommend people read my books, but I've got Pablo's new book here that got delivered earlier on, which I wrote the foreword to. It's a great book. Do I put every single practice in this book into practice or every single thing that Pablo says in this book into practice in my code base? No. Because there's a set of principles and guidelines and ideas, and I wouldn't necessarily say that I agree with the principles of everything in there. I wouldn't say I agree with the practice of everything in there for everything.
I think it's also this was the point that we were kind of agreeing on the other day as well, which is Advanced Apex Programming was the first book to look seriously at Apex from a software engineering perspective.
Yes.
I think to me, that was its, not to underplay what Dan was actually showing, but to actually get the Apex user base to think about Apex as a proper programming language and to learn the proper patterns and best practices for it, in and of itself, as opposed to trying to compare it to Java or C#.
It's and it's the same with FFlib and things like that. So I'm sure most people know. I used to work at Financial Force, and that's where my first Salesforce kind of job was. Andy Fawcett, the kind of, I'm not going to say the brains behind FFlib because he would disagree with that wholeheartedly, but one of the people that was the major brains behind it, he was my boss. I sat 10 feet away from him. I used to pester him when I was a very junior developer, going Andy, why's my code not working? and he would inevitably know all the clever reasons why it wasn't. And that organization had many, many reasons why my code doesn't work, as we have seen on these streams again and again. But that organization, that code base, had a lot of patterns and practices in place that a lot of these frameworks, such as the Apex architecture framework and things like that, are getting to grips with now and are suggesting, and maybe are suggesting in a lightweight and different fashion. But those guys were years ahead. That team, the Financial Force team, were years ahead of everyone else in what they were thinking about. And that you might not love the package, and it might not be the quickest package, but it's an accounting package. Like accounting, I don't know if you've ever sat and done double ledger entry. It's not a speedy, fun process. It's a complex process. It's going to be a complex app, and I think that there's a lot of that Dan really kind of covered in there. But yeah, it's again a bunch of smart people thinking about how it should be used as a proper language in a proper kind of development environment.
Yeah, 100%.
So what we're going to do is, first thing we're going to do is install it. And you can see here on my screen, I'm going to do it using the CLI. There is also an unlocked package link. I'm just going to use it doing the CLI because I'm here. But all of these commands for installing everything are on the repository that I've just linked to. It's nice and easy to work with. And Johannes has done a great job documenting it. And so I think the kind of two things that we probably really want to look for. Let's just see. Is just to go and look at are probably going to be. Let's do that and see if it's still in progress. Are going to be looking at some basic logging for LWC, looking at some logging for our Apex, and also maybe looking at this HTTP request logging framework.
I think to me, that's one of the things that these external logging frameworks do really well. I mean, JavaScript obviously has a way to have output messages. Apex has system.debug, but to have a single framework that can collect logs either from your front end or from your Apex is really valuable.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that having that, one of the things I really like about this this repository as well is if you have a look, there's a lot of links and information here to just a lot of stuff. And when I say a lot of stuff, what I mean in there is, let's go back. It's probably on this page. There's a lot of links to a lot of kind of, here's where you should look at how you might do different logging. Okay. Like how some of the things should be logged. There is also a CLI that I think we should try and play with around actually doing some of that work for us to set up some of the logging. So let's just have a check.
Yeah, that sounds like a super cool feature.
Cool. Package installs. So if we're just going to go back here, and if we just go back to my user, let's just make sure that I've got the correct permission sets, as I believe there is a permission set to assign. So I'm going to do client login, ops center access, archive application events, and create application events. I think that's probably all I need. Let's go for those. So I've just added all the permission sets. Again, there's details of what different ones in there, but there's different types of events you can log. I was noticing you can log basic events, but you can also, so you can do it on batch Apex or regular Apex, but there's also application events you can log as well, which are a slightly different thing, as well as the CI. So should we just get started and probably jump into going to our Apex controller and just doing some logging there? Sound like a plan? You're on mute if you were saying anything, Pete. Sorry.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
I assume that's what you'd said. I was just the way you'd gone quiet.
Yeah, no, it's well, it's funny because this, like, these headphones go into this mic, so I still hear myself.
I mean, that's not,
which just adds to the illusion.
So let me just do this, and I'm just kind of copying some of the code that Johannes and the team have put in there. So the starting thing we've got here is a logger that we're creating. So it's RFlogger util, and we get factory, and then we create logger, and we give the logger a name. And this is normally the name of your controller or whatever you're doing, so that you can see, you can kind of group by context, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So we can
that
see
makes
what's
sense.
going on. And then we've got a method here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do logger dot, logger dot, and then it obviously hasn't updated yet. We're going to do an info. There's a number of different levels you can do, I believe, based on what we're going with, but we're going to do info. If you go over here, you can obviously go in, and if I go to RFLib, default, Apex classes, if you go here into logger, where is it? So logger factory here is what we're using. You can see that returns us a logger instance, which is an RFLib logger, which is there.
Yeah, I was
and
just
so there's a
looking
load
at the object model too, as far as like where data goes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots and lots of there's a lot of cool stuff around the data being persisted and where it's stored and all sorts of cool stuff like that. So we're just going to,
even like masking rules. So it looks like you can mask sensitive data.
So we're just going to do logger.info, and we're going to say get pex or pick called, and then param page. Let's do page number. Okay, that's going to work for us. So if I save that, that should work fine. Now, I can never remember the command to tail logs. Is it SF?
SF Apex. It's either tail log or log tail. I think it's tail.
FS, yeah, Apex tail. Tail log, bingo. Oh, I already have a debug log level with that name, which I don't.
Oh yeah, you have to you actually have to actually create a debug level record.
Okay, interesting.
There's a really easy way to do that though. So the way that I just did it. Oh, but I don't have that. Do I? It should be up on the.
If not, I'm going to open the developer console really quick and just.
No, I've got the way that I did it was actually I put a little script in package.json so that I could just do npm run, and then it would just stick a default debug level in there as sort of a quick and dirty way of getting that in. Let me see if I can send you what that looked like. Yeah, so basically under scripts in package.json.
You should be able to edit package.
Actually, yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. That's right. I forgot. We're sharing. Welcome to your live stream, Peter. Okay, so so this is how I did it. And all I'm doing is just running the command line command to do it because I couldn't be asked to like write a Node.js script. I just literally wanted to be able to do it. So it's I don't know if you want to. Should I share my screen? Oh yeah, you can see it there. So just running SF data create record. It is a tooling API record, and the S object is called debug level, and then you just basically have to give it a name, which I call standard debug. And so when you run log tail, you just have to name that standard debug level, and you're good to go.
Okay.
So do dash dash. Oh, you don't have autocomplete turned on, do you?
I think I do, but yeah, let's have a look. Tail, log, dash dash.
Tab?
Yep, no, not working.
Okay.
Have a look. Let's have a look at the help file. This is all the help files there for. Debug level.
There you go.
And color.
I don't remember any of the parameter Dave now because of having autocomplete turned on. So
yeah,
and then like you do the command once and then you just go back to history when you want to repeat it, right? So
cool. Standard debug. Beautiful. Right, we are logging out now. So in theory, now we've got that saved, if we run this, it should make another call out via our Apex call out. Get us a different image, some cowboys, hugs and kisses. And we can see here, we have our kind of methods going and everything happening.
Oh, there's a user debug.
User debug, info, and there's some IDs and information here. So this is kind of the information that's coming out on RFLib. So it's that we're calling this, and RFLib's putting that out. But I think what's going to be more useful is if we go over to here and we look at RFLib Ops Center. I believe we should be able to see.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so we're now connected to receive new messages. So if we do this again, I wonder if it's going to refresh and do that for us.
Do you have to search?
Let me see if the logger settings, see if I've got any logger settings. All right, it's just called user, I think. Use a user.
I'll take a look and see, like, is there something they have to do besides just putting the command in? Review any log events sent within the last 72 hours. Okay. So theoretically, anything 72 hours old or less should be in there. At least that's what I'm reading so far.
See if we've got any users who don't have client login enabled, users have done. Let's go back to the. Let's just see if we've got this set up. So got that in there. Oh, those are really good. What it says about all this.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just some logging recommendations that I was on about earlier. So getting started with logging is doing that logger settings.
What's the log level that you used on the
info?
That should, in theory, let me double check my debug level that I set. Because I think Apex should be set to finest.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, Apex is set to finest on the debug level that I gave you to set.
Okay, interesting. So we're connected. There's no. Just checking there's nothing here in the application events dashboard that we missed. We're not looking at the wrong place. Nope. Okay. Let's just go to logger settings again, just check we're not doing anything stupid. So I've got that logger setting turned on. Is there anything here in the logger settings? Shouldn't make any difference there.
I'm just gonna quickly we're running log tail on the terminal, aren't we?
Yeah.
Is there a way to set up a second terminal? Or I could just cancel out of Logtail. I'm just sort of curious. Hello, can I cancel? I don't think it's letting me.
Do you want to? I can cancel that. It's fine.
Yeah, see if. No, I'm not. For whatever reason, I'm not seeing.
Interesting. So we're not seeing anything coming through. So let's go back and just see if we've got. This is why it's important to go through and read this documentation. So we're saying the home, we install it. Installation does that and deploy it, all right?
Yeah, for whatever reason, I can't get to. It's like I've disconnected from your terminal, but that's fine. I was sort of curious just to do a query on the RFLib log table and see is there any data in there even. I mean, I would guess there would be, unless there's a setting you have to set so that it actually stores it.
What's the name of the table?
RFLib underscore log underscore underscore C.
Like that.
That should work. Yeah.
Or is it? Oh, is it a double? Is it an unlocked package?
No. It's not a namespace. It's a pseudo namespace.
Yeah, there's no rows.
Yeah, so that's why there's nothing showing up. So I bet there's some configuration we have to do so that it actually stores the log versus just outputs it.
Yeah, I'm trying to see what that is though. Log archive.
I suppose it could be in log archive, but I would have thought.
So in log monitor here, we've got the logger settings. If I go over here, should I just check the permission sets again? Client login, not center access. There's nothing there I can see. If I go down here. Yeah, I don't have any access to there. Why is it not? So let's have a look. Let's go through the documentation. There's going to be something we've messed up here.
Yeah, so log archive is a big object, and then log is just the regular log. Yeah, I don't see anything under settings that says like this is how you ensure that it actually writes to.
Yeah, no, neither do I.
And if I look at, so method entry, RFLib logger util.log internal creates a variable RFLib logger, and then it has like all that stuff in there. I would have thought if it was storing that there would be some DML statement in there.
It should just be using platform events to send them. I suppose that's my query, is whether the platform events are even firing.
Right.
Let's go to the log
platform events or async?
Platform events. Just looking here. So I just happened to look at a question. Out of the box, it doesn't store messages in objects. It uses platform events, which can be viewed in the Ops Center's log monitor tab.
Okay. Log archive to store them. Oh, interesting. So the log S object doesn't really use anything?
No, it's not used unless you have it definitively doing so. Just trying to see if there's any other closed items that have.
But that makes sense. I mean, you wouldn't want to just like use up a whole bunch of
That makes sense.
object storage. So this thing I've been doing with platform events this last week, I kind of created my own. Well, it wasn't really logging. It's more like tracing because I'm just trying to get like performance information on platform events. And so I have started, I probably should have just used something like RFLib, but I just sort of threw together my own.
Yeah.
Bodged together, how can I track, like how my platform events or my asynchronous Apex is executing. So
I'm just going to load this up. So I'm just seeing here if we can see. New instance. Fatal. If I just do the debug. All right, so that's. There you go. So that's definitely happening. So that's going through. I'm wondering why it's just not creating a platform event though. Just do here a second. Report logs. So I think what we're missing is at the end here doing sorry, Pete, I think you're on mute again.
I am on mute again, talking to myself.
So we're in the log monitor. Let's just check that's refreshed. I'm just going to stick this on one side. I'm going to stick this on the other side. Let's refresh this page. There we go. You're on mute.
Thought I unmuted myself. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So interestingly, so what that's told me then is a couple of things. Number one, the logs are only sent out via platform events for you to monitor if you have them reported out, which makes sense. You might want to have a feature flag that allows you to turn that on and off, which is useful. And we can see here the details. It tells me, hey, so we got the timestamp, the level. I think that's the user ID, is it? Let's see, I think it's the user ID, the TID, the class, the context, sorry, and the message I sent through. So that's quite a handy little thing for us to start looking at. We've done something,
Any
Peter.
idea what page number represents?
What page number? Sorry, which one?
I don't know. It's where it says, get pixels called and then page number 302.
That is page number 302. Remember we had the random,
right. Okay, yeah.
Our random number generator.
Never mind.
So
that's from our actual. That's not something to do with RFLib.
No, that's us.
It's all coming back to me now.
Let's not break into song. Cool.
Oh, I can sing. Watch out.
Oh, go for it. Don't threaten me with a good time, Peter Chitton. So, so we've done that. So I think so that's quite easy and simple for us to do. Let's have a quick look, see if we can get something on logging. Whoops. Thank you. Should we try logging out onto a Lightning page? So in a web component, we import this. Looks pretty simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it on my display image, which is good. This is our Apex one. So this is probably going to be the best one for us to do real quick here. So let's import that from there. And then it's going to be called create logger and this.logger.info. Cool. So should we do it? So let's do it at the top. And should we get the context of display image? And this.logger.info. So we'll let's do it down here. So we've got this console log out now. So let me do this in this.log.info, and I'm going to do picture data.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, what's the right place to put the log message? Right.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting conversation we could have.
So, like, on connected callback, that's this being added to the DOM. You might want to log that. Certainly, the actual method that's doing the work makes total sense as well.
It's still listed. Sorry,
but I think that's always this is always the discussion when you're adding something like a log, is making sure that the and some of this is on the logger library creator, is making sure it's performant enough that it's not going to impact the performance of the app negatively. So that's interesting. And it makes sense too with the platform events that they're probably using EMP API on Lightning Web Components to publish.
Yeah. Yes, they probably are. So I'm just sorry, I'm just going to go in here in RFLib logger, and I'm wondering if I need to again tell it format add message. So we've got log level component message. Oh yeah, it's going to output it into the console log message to server. Okay, let's just see what comes out there. I wonder if it's going to come through. I wonder if for the client side logging, you don't need to tell it to publish the platform event, if it will just do so. Because I can't see anything here that's telling me create logger, start log timer. I can't see anything that's saying I need to actually explicitly output it. Let's have a look. So if we go back here, there we go. We can see the log there. Debug from RFLib logger. Display logger there, and the Apex variation, how long that took. And if we go over to log monitor, we have our Apex callout one again. So nice. So we can see some info coming in. I wonder how we log from Lightning Web Components to persisting it to platform events.
And as soon as I said that, I was like, I did second guess myself, and I was wrong when I said it in the first place. The EMP API is to subscribe to platform events, not to actually publish them. So, yeah, minor thing there. Being
So,
able to
so
see
how do
logs
we?
from the client is pretty awesome. Yes, capability snob is in the house. Fantastic. It's good to see you.
Hey, capability snob. So
Australia,
yeah,
right? How are things down in Oz these days? Am I right about that? That's what I seem to
yes, I
remember.
think you are.
There's nothing that says Friday evening television like a Cloud Bites live stream.
I mean, I'm sure it's what everyone else really wants to be doing on their Friday nights. Debug level. Yeah, I can't see how you might tell it to output those to the platform event. To the platform event. I'm just wondering if there's anything in the settings. Look here.
So that's okay, capability snob. We've been a bit sporadic as well, so it's not just you.
Yeah, we've been a bit up and down.
June was hard. June was very busy, so
June was a very mad time.
yeah.
And July just got the same. Okay, cool. I can't see anything in there that pops in my head. What I might do though is we
What
can always
were you trying to
think.
do? Sorry, I lost the plot
So
for a second.
that's right. So what I was wondering is how do we get it so that if I refresh this, we can see that we're getting our debug out here in the window, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But how do we get it here?
Oh, it's not actually showing
No,
in the log
it's only the
monitor.
Apex call out one. So I'm just wondering if it's possible for us to do that even.
Oh, you would think so. I mean,
You
why
would.
wouldn't they do that?
But yes,
What's the
how?
name of the
How?
component in LWC that you use to do the log?
RFLib logger.
Oh, and you're looking at it there anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, I can't see anything that says.
That it's actually publishing to Apex or something.
Yeah, so what it's doing is when it's logging, so creating logger, it's adding, so call log, it adds the message and then it does, so it logs the message there.
Oh, Johannes
Platform.
Fischer is in. Johannes.
There we go. You
Fantastic.
can use the client log level to push the logs from the LWC. So
Oh,
where's
so you have to change the log setting. Okay. Is that
okay?
right?
So I think so. Where would that be? Is that going to be in the logger settings? I wonder if I do here. Client console log level.
Oh, because you're doing it at an info and you set a debug?
Like that. Let's just set this as let's do user. Let's try that. It's great having Johannes in the chat. I was about to say we can go away and ask Johannes some of these questions, but the man is here. There we go. Okay.
Sweet.
And I'm obviously not on log monitor, so that's really stupid that I've refreshed the page. It's not on there. So just getting the Apex call out one still. What am I missing? I must be being silly. That's the logger settings. Is the client log level? Let's go back into here. I'm just seeing if I've got it. If I'm missing something here. Definitely getting it up to the server. What are we missing, Johannes? Let's go open these settings again. Do you think I'm being daft, Peter?
So client log, when go back to the LWC you do that in?
Sorry, here or you mean
the
actual
code, the actual LWC code?
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Oh, so you think it's here on the create logger?
I don't know. Like, what level is that? Is there a way to set an explicit level?
There must be. So create logger. So create logger name, log source is default log source. Okay. What would log source be? Our server log level. Default log source.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the documentation myself right here as well. It says client console log level.
Where are you? You're looking at this.
I'm gonna look at the wiki.
Okay, cool.
But that's looks like for client side. And then client server log level, which log messages trigger a server request and send out a log event platform event. It ignores the log event reporting level. So if the client log level is lower priority, it will ignore the platform event. I feel
so
like
that
I
should
have
be
to
info there then. You think?
I feel like I have to draw that out.
I think that might have made sense. Yep, got it.
Yay! Oh, it's blue too. Nicely done.
Yeah, so in the logger set, everything is driven through the logger settings. Thank you. That is really helpful. So yeah, sorry, we just didn't set this up properly, it seems. So
what,
in here,
like actually look at the documentation before we try something?
Well, we did look at the documentation, but yeah,
a little
scanned. Scanned, I think, is to be fair. So yeah, this client server log level here is what needs to be info.
Yeah.
So anything info or above would go in there.
Oh, did you set the client console one before?
Yeah, I set the client console one.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I hadn't seen the second one as well.
So that's cool. So we've now got both of them working.
That's super sweet.
Yeah, if someone sat down and read the documentation properly rather than jumping into it, which we should have done a bit more detail. I read through it. I didn't realize. I don't think we realized this was going to need setting up as much. What I think would be super cool to do though now for the last 20 minutes or so is let's hop down here and should we just try using the plugin?
Yeah, that'd be super cool. It does make so client server log level is what you're looking for. Oh yeah, so that's great. Yeah, and like I almost, and maybe this exists and we didn't see it because let's face it, we didn't read the documentation too closely. But it'd be super cool if there was a sort of default log level setting that you could just that it would install with. Yeah, anyway, so just again, if it's there in the docs and we didn't see it, that's on us. So
yeah, or if you feel free to ping both of us on LinkedIn, Johannes, and we can.
Yeah.
If you are looking at some extra documentation, I'm sure Pete and I'd be happy to make a note.
And this, honestly, this would have been super useful to some of the stuff I was doing with platform events over the last couple of weeks. So I think kind of next time I have a bigger project, I might play around with this myself. So, yeah.
Well, the other thing I was thinking we could do on it is just as a thought for Johannes, it could be interesting, and he can definitely say to us it's open source, go and do it yourself. Is kind of like a setup flow. I mean, first time you open it up, it's a little flow on there that says
interesting.
Yeah.
So should we undo the log messages you put in and then let the instrument plugin do its thing?
Yeah,
I think that'll be super cool. See, you didn't make this is where you could have created a branch ball and like just switch branches and undone all of this.
I have a branch. I do.
Oh, there we go. Boom.
See, yeah, like this is it. I have it. I'm Get status. So yeah, I'm just making sure because this API key is in there, and I don't want to add the API key into the repository. Add bad.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I'll add in your little debug log thing as well because that was useful. And those, okay, co-authored by Peter Chittum. So addition.
Oh wow, picked that up from me, huh? Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, what we can do on this branch is just have one commit after another one that says this is what it we suggest and this is what it suggests.
Yeah, it's
so
cool.
Let's.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of branch proliferation.
Oh, you mean just like having a whole bunch of branches laying out there? Like,
yeah, because I think it just. I mean, let's be clear. I don't think anyone's going to be using this as a prime example of how to use this wonderful library at the moment.
I've seen it be used to really good effect for like training projects. Yeah, where you can have either tags or branches that you sort of have people check out, and then they can like pick up from an exercise, or they can check out a different one and see the solution. Like done well, that can be a really great learning experience.
Yeah, the Salesforce training stuff was really good for that. Framework out of the box, and it's also recommended prod default settings. Okay, cool. We must have just missed it. Yeah, thank you, capability snob. Nice commit.
Nice
cool. So let's have a look at running this then. So we have here analyze and instrument Apex classes with. Okay, so this is the default one for adding logging to Apex classes. Logging Apex instrument. Source path we could do. We have a dry run, we have a prettier, and we have a no if. What do the flags do?
Does the CLI plugin also just like, can you just run the RFLib install right from the plugin? That'd be cool.
I don't think so. So full disclosure, the plugin is still very much in beta. We appreciate that.
That's fair. There. My entire life is pretty much in beta, so
I don't think either Pete or I are in a position to say anything about anyone's plugins at all.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to run it. And I'm going to run Prettier as well. What does Prettier say? Sports dry run mode. Formats code using Prettier. Why not? Why not? Source path, and we want -- Prettier. Boom, go for it.
Oh, Johannes is in Canada. Got it. Okay.
Ooh, okay.
We're spanning massive amounts of geography just with the very small number of listeners we have today.
I know. Living the dream. So what we have here is, so it's not too far off of what we had. We had our logger info coming out there with our page number. And then we had the logger up there. That's cool. That's nice.
Yep. That all makes sense.
So let's do the same. Let's do the same, but do it for LWC. And let's just minimize some of this rubbish out of the way. So we've got here importing the logger at the top. We've got here the logger being created there. Nice. And then, oh, cool, it is putting in the connected callback. It's got a wide response, error and data. And it's also logging out our errors nicely.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And it's logging out our data. That's nice. It's doing it nicely on the if branches there. That's quite cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Cool. And then let's have a look at the other, which it would have done the fetch, which I'm interested in the fetch one because this one really doesn't need to know about Salesforce. You know what I mean? The fetch one is just a fetch API, isn't it?
Right.
So yeah, producing some nice output. Very cool.
But that's actually kind of cool because you can still. It's interesting. Like, if any, like, have you done any work, Johannes? I'm trying to like stitch together like the span of there's the start of the transaction in the browser, and obviously it's different for the fetch one, but in the case that it's calling Apex, here's the start of the transaction in the browser, and then here's where that continues actually into maybe an Apex call, and then kind of be able to see like the whole of that, let's call it broader operation. That'd be, I could see how you could possibly do that with RFLib.
Okay, interesting. We have a failure on our callout test. Pixels, callout, mock, variable does not exist, logger. Interesting. Okay, so it's not added the logger in here on the mock properly. Which is fine. That's easily solved.
Oh, I see. So it instrumented it, but it neglected to put in the actual creation of the static logger. Interesting.
Unexpected token on Pexels library JS. Which is that LWC one there, Pexels library.
This is how I debug too. Does it deploy?
Oh, wow. So this is also interesting.
Oh,
it's
wow.
added it to the library that is just a standard. This is just a standard JavaScript library we copied in. Do you remember?
Oh, interesting. So like having a way to ignore certain bits of your code before you run that would be.
I mean, let's be clear. It did offer us paths, and I was just do it all. Full disclosure, that was definitely me forgetting that was a thing rather than anything else. Okay, that was. So we revert that change, and then everything should be hunky. And also, may I add Dory? Yeah. And so then if we hop over here and refresh here, we should get some messages or lots of stuff in there about it connecting and what's been debugged. Look at all that. And then over here, all the messages.
You could do this through the creator ID, the ID of the user.
So this is for your question about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really cool. I can see how that could be really valuable for like doing some profiling and understanding, like if you've built a fairly complex use case and getting a sense for like if there's a performance bottleneck, like is that on the client side, is it on the server side, like what do you have control over?
So I don't think we're going to be able to do this now in the time we've got, but we could. One of the things I think would be interesting to see is using this mocking framework. So there's a mocking framework here where we can turn it on in the setup.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then we would, we would define a mock endpoint. So get all of our information here. So the method, the payload, etc., etc. And then when we then do our actual work, we kind of do our, we use RFLib HTTP request instead of whatever HTTP request, and then it'll automatically mock in tests for us.
That's really cool.
So good it got my glasses on.
It's a thing.
So yeah, that's cool.
Nice.
I don't know if we've got 12 minutes. I probably don't think we've got time for that now, but that's super cool. So I'll commit this code and share it in the repo. I might go away and do that in the background just for my own fun.
Feeling like a little project this Friday afternoon.
Yeah, it's I'm hoping that shouldn't take too long to do. It should be quite a quick little easy win, and we can put it up there. But that was cool. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Johannes, for joining us and answering our DAF questions. That was super appreciated. And yeah, I enjoy going through, and I've learned a little bit more about a library that I have always wanted to look at and learn.
Yeah, me too. And like I said, there was something I I was really finding some challenges getting logging to work on platform events. And something like this would have solved some of my problems very quickly. The main one, which was really weird, because I was working with parallel subscribers, when I had a single when I only had like the default of one partition, so non-parallel subscribers, basically like the standard configuration, I couldn't get logging. I couldn't attach the CLI based logging uh, to the platform event. It was still
Okay.
appearing in debug logs, right? But I couldn't actually attach it for some reason. The minute I added a second or a third partition, it would show up. It was a really weird behavior. But like having, if I had something like this,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had a problem basically. So, yeah. Anyway, because I could have had the actual log message in a log file as opposed to having to wait for the debug log to show up. Oh, and that's a question too. I was wondering is, so I guess the advantage of having RFLib also is, do you not need to have a debug session running at all? Like, will it still
No.
store in the log file? It's just going to store according to whatever the log level is that you set for production.
That
So
is
you
my
want to,
understanding.
but that way, like you wouldn't have to wait basically for or you wouldn't have to go on kind of a hunting mission, a hunting expedition to try and chase down that problem if you had the log message in the right place at the right time. Um, you might be saved that struggle.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
There's some cool stuff in there. So yeah, I'm gonna have a play with the mocking stuff to go through as well. So yeah, there's no I don't know whether have I just been silly.
No problem, Johannes. It's still well, I don't know. It depends on if you're East Coast or West Coast time. If West Coast time, it's still quite early. So,
Yeah, no, we appreciate you waking up
yeah,
and joining us.
East Coast
Uh,
time, yeah, it's morning. So, yeah, but no worries. We're just glad you popped on for as long as you did.
so yeah, I'm gonna go away and do that. 2 weeks time, I think we need to look at another library, another framework for us.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm looking forward to that.
Anything in particular piquing your interest?
Well, I mean, everybody talks about Nebula Logger. That would certainly be a natural one to go for. But I'm definitely open for others if you have something in mind. Actually, this one
Yeah.
that uh, Johannes mentioned, where is it? L- uh, where is it?
Mountain time.
Oh
So
no, sorry, no, that's actually just a part of RFLib, isn't it? Getting started with the log timer.
yeah, the log
Yeah,
time. Yeah.
okay. I misread that initially as a different project, but um okay.
So yeah, we could have a look at Nebula Logger. There's a few out there. So and yeah, for anyone who's watching this now, watching this later, make sure you let us know in the comments if there's a particular library you'd like to learn more about, see us dive into, and give us a heads up. The other thing that is hopefully going to be coming is some live streams where we're going to be coding with some Heroku setup and Heroku app link.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to
That's
that
in the
one.
work. So yeah, so it'll either be in a couple of weeks' time, it'll either be AppLink or it will be another library for us to work through. So yeah, so what have you got on for the next 2 weeks, Pete? You got anything big plans this weekend?
Well, so okay, I've been waiting for an order of lock cylinders for all the locks on our house door. So I'm going to replace all of those because they're not that hard to do, really. So I'm going to do that myself. More building in our bedroom, and then just next couple of weeks, what have we got going on? So I've got a webinar next week. I'm going to record uh, another deep dive, a SF Ben deep dive. That one's going to be on Shield, like everything about
Cool.
Shield. So that should be pretty cool. And then just, the usual, although in a couple of weeks, I will be out at Forcelandia if anyone else is going there. So
Very nice. Very nice
end of
indeed.
August. Yeah.
Yeah, Johannes has just recommended RFLib from the Beyond the Cloud team.
Okay.
So we can have a look at that. We'll add that one to the list as well, for sure.
Yeah. And I actually some of the mocking frameworks might be interesting to look into. Those might be interesting to take a look at.
That would be. Are we going to end up with me and you having a soapbox discussion around mocking? So
maybe. I mean,
I was thinking this morning about so I have the occasional twinge to write another book, and I don't want to because I have enough on my plate.
yeah. I mean, you just wrote one, right? So.
No, I haven't written one for a couple of years now.
Is it? I thought. Okay, I guess it was further away than I thought.
I think last year it was the second edition of one of them came out, which was that was a fair few new chapters, but yeah, it's still a year ago. Yeah, it was only an extra 6 chapters, nothing crazy. But yeah, I had the occasional twitch, and I was umming and ahhing about whether there is an interesting book on the art of testing on Salesforce or the art of Apex testing, because I think that there's a really interesting discussion that's kind of a twofold book, almost threefold book of one part very much about here's how you do things like mocking and stubbing and kind of the real code side of thank you, Johannes, have a great weekend too. A real on the real coding side, so using all the different providers, how you integrate them, how you can structure your code to help with them.
Yeah.
And I think there's a second part of that book as to the when should you do these things.
Right.
And I think there's a third part to it, which is best practice strategies for testing in general. Or maybe that's part of the second part. But mocking and stubbing are things that I think are extremely useful, but I don't think you should always do.
Yeah, I mean I think it's like a lot of things, from my perspective, that you're going to reach an inflection point in a project or in a at a Salesforce customer where before that point the sheer effort of blocking and tackling all of those best practices just isn't worth the effort, but at some point in time you'll be able to see on the horizon that not having things like a trigger framework and dependency injection and the ability to do separation concerns, things like that, is going to be a problem. And I think when you see that on the horizon, you should start planning for incorporating some of those practices. Is probably the way that I would approach it.
Yeah, it's the same with RFLib's a really good one to perhaps look at. It's easy to get excited. Sorry, capability snob just put in here. It's easy to get excited about coverage, but unless you're really in the code, you can't write tests that make any sense. Yes, I think that there is a point at which what you're writing becomes more for you to feel good than it does for functionally verifying anything. What I was going to say is I think that there's RFLib's a really good one, and maybe one we should go through on there because it's like with selector classes, which is what RFLib is. I'm not so sure that they're always as good as people think they are for a number for things like ensuring you're minimizing the amount of data you bring back.
Right.
Which is a really important security thing, as well as a really important there's a bunch of reasons where you don't want to be pulling back everything, and I kind of end up feeling that you end up with more code than you need for certain things. But
interesting.
So there's a few ones on there, but yeah, I have thought about that as a little side book, but I have a life and things to be doing instead at the moment.
But, I'm sure the opportunity will present itself when it does. So
We shall see. We shall see. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us again. Hope people found that interesting and useful. I certainly have learned something about RFLib. And yeah, definitely would recommend you have a look at it for your projects if you're looking for a logging library. And there's a bunch of other stuff on there as well, which I'm going to go away and have a play with. Thank you once again, Pete, for joining me. And
yeah, thanks, Paul. It's been a blast.
Helping me explore through. For everyone who's watching along, thank you again. If you're not subscribed on the YouTube channel, please consider doing so and hitting the notification icon to stay up to date. There's lots more coming with both these live streams. There's the podcast. There's also some book reviews I have in the pipeline coming down the line, as well as some exciting new series that we're working on to come out for you. And again, if you're watching this through LinkedIn, please drop me a follow or the CloudBytes TV LinkedIn page as well, just to stay up to date with all the latest stuff. Thank you so much again, everyone, and we'll see you all on the next one. Have a great weekend.